Treasury, and everybody who's in attendance, including the media. The meeting is officially open. The meeting is about public hearings on the Financial Matters Amendment Bill B-20/2022 and the Municipal Fiscal Powers and Functional Amendment Bill. Are there apologies?
Yes, Chair. Mr. Maswale indicated he is about to board a flight, so he will log in as soon as he lands, if the meeting is still on. Ms. Abrams the same, and then Boater Vessels also sent an apology, Chair.
Okay, those are the three apologies that we've received. Okay, let's proceed to the next item. Public hearings on the Financial Matters Amendment Bill, B-20/2022. Alan, are you saying that Deloitte is no longer available?
Yes, Chair. I received an email from representative from last night to say they're not presenting, just submitted the submission, but they are online.
Will they be making a submission online?
No, Chair. They are on the platform, but they probably only here as observers.
Oh, okay. So for now, we've got Association for Monitoring and Advocacy and of Government Pensions and COSATU.
That's correct, Chair. Matthew is online, and then Ahmad GP, I think there's a Zirk. He's also on the platform.
Okay. Let's proceed to AMAGP. Over to you, Zirk.
Sir, can you hear me? My name is Zirk Gous. I represent the Association for the Monitoring and the Advocacy of Government Pensions.
Yes, we can hear you. If you have got the screen, you can share it. I mean, if you have got the presentation, you can share it with us on the screen.
Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you on this matter. I presented a document which I believe will be available to you all, but I will then summarize the content of this specific document. The legal entity AMAGP is an association of voluntary former state employees, that is pensioners, as defined in the Government Employee Pension Law. We have a following of about 8,000 GPF pensioners out of the about 500,000 retired state employees pensioners. The overwhelming majority of our members have only one source of income, and that is their state pension. We thus have a material interest in the financial sustainability of the fund. We would like to concentrate in our comment on the purpose of the bill, i.e. that is the amalgamation of the Associated Institutions Pension Fund, that is the AIPF, as well as the Temporary Employees Pension Fund, the TEPF, into the Government Employee Pension Fund. Sir, Chairperson, members, it stands to reason that the financial sustainability of a pension fund is directly affected when other pension funds, in this case the AIPF and the TEPF, are amalgamated with the original fund, that is the GEPF. I believe that it is also trade law that all employer and all management decisions affecting the original fund, that is the GEPF, must at all times be in the best interest of the original fund, that will be the GEPF. Chairperson, members, in spite of our best efforts, we were unable to access any information about the membership numbers or the financial position or the financial sustainability or any actuarial evaluation of the AIPF and the TEPF. Such information simply is not freely available. Secondary information confirms that the administration of both these funds is already executed by the Government Pensions Administration Agency, which obviously also execute the administration of the GEPF. We believe that the absence of the availability of above information to inform us on the factors that will either put the GEPF at risk or the opposite. In the absence of this information, we are not in a position to make any informed comment on the proposed amalgamation. We believe that the said absence of vital information will also have the same effect on the Standing Committee yourself. For the committee to engage in any informed consideration and to make informed decisions of this proposed amalgamations, above vital information must be freely available to ourselves, to yourselves, and at this point of time, it is simply not available. It stands to reason, sir, that the non-availability of such information can negatively affect the legality of any approval of the bill in its present format and put any such approval at risk to serious legal challenges. So the secondary information, and I don't have firm documentary approval for this, indicates that both these funds are at this point of time unsustainable. The state as employer is now transferring the risk of the cost from themselves to the GEPF, that is the employees. If this is correct, it is really problematic. We need the full picture to make an informed decision. The history of these two funds, sir, is that it dates from the original legislation, founding legislation dates from the 60s. It indicated that a variety of semi-state institutions like universities participated in the fund. Over the years, many of these institutions, like the universities, obtained permission to create their own pension funds. This eroded the number base of the associated institutions' pension fund. And it simply became unsustainable because it simply had no new numbers. All these institutions, members, all the lectors, associated, etc., became members of their own pension fund. We believe that it is not correct to ask the GEPF to carry the risk of two unsustainable funds. We would like, sir, to recommend that the committee postpone the consideration of this bill until all the critical information which I have referred to that may impact on the consideration of the bill is freely available or made available to all parties who have an interest in this bill. Thank you. That is our submission for your consideration. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Zach. Okay, we have listened to our input and then we are going to deliberate on your request. Thanks. Comrade Matthew, over to you from COSATU.
Okay, good morning, Chair. Thanks very much. Just upload our document just quickly. Yeah. So no, thanks, Chair. And so we're just commenting on the Financial Matters Amendment Bill, Chair. Just thanks to the committee for giving us space. I think our presentation also relatively short and sweet, like the bill is also quite short and to the point. So just focus on three aspects, Chair. We're not going to touch upon the administrative components of the bill, which we think are straightforward. But Chair, so I think we want to say we as COSATU, we do welcome the bill and we support it as COSATU. We think there's some important components to it. Number one is around the issue that the bill seeks to address some of the challenges military veterans, military personnel and the partners have experienced accessing the pension benefits when either the partners or ex-partners pass away or even during separations or and so forth. I think we also want to say that as COSATU, we do welcome the provision for what we interpreted as the extension of the existing legal requirements to associated institution pension funds, and thus providing, we think, the same rights and protections for those fund members. And Chair, I think we also want to say that we do welcome, but we have some proposed addition to the proposal it makes around the Auditing Professions Act. We think the proposals in the bill do seek to try to address some of the problems in the auditing professions we've seen recently, where some auditors have helped to cover up corruption in the firms and the SOEs they are contracted to play an auditing and oversight role in. So I think we'll just focus on those three components, Chair. Chair, I think just in the first one, with regards to amendments to the Military Pensions Act. So I think we support these proposed amendments to the Military Pension Act. We think they're long overdue, they're very straightforward. Simply to recognize and to include military personnel members, life partners. And again, that's a very straightforward issue, and it's actually just long overdue. So I think we do appreciate kind of addressing those kind of legal loopholes because they do have a significant impact. We think they're critical to protecting the rights and the needs of military veterans, the partners, the families, the dependents. And of course, they are in line with the values of the Constitution in terms of preventing discrimination based upon gender or sexual orientation, or even just a broader, inclusive definition of marriage or life partners, etc. Chair, I think we also believe that these amendments to the Military Pension Act will help protect the rights of these partners, the ex-partners, the dependents and children, including of deceased military veterans. And often they have struggled to access the remaining pension benefits due to them when the loved one passes away. So with regards to the Military Pension Act amendments, Chair, we support these proposals in full. I think they're progressive, they're straightforward and long overdue. Then Chair, just with regards to the amendments which we interpret as extending coverage to associated institutions pension funds, I think we want to welcome the amendments to the existing legal framework. And what we believe is to extend the existing legal framework to these associated institutions pension funds. We think this is critical for two main reasons. One is that it's important for workers and the pensioners of such funds, or the members, as well as the partners and the dependents who otherwise don't enjoy the same legal framework, the same rights and regulatory oversight. Chair, I think also the secondly, as the bill indicates, we think it's important to provide for the clean break principles during divorces or the separations and the separation of assets, especially for women and children, often who are in abusive relationships. So in that instance, you need to have a clean break so the women and the kids, etc., can go move on quickly. And also because often they'll be in financially dependent relationships. So again, the faster you can have a separation of assets, the quicker those parties can now move on with their lives. Chair, I think also that, stating the obvious, that we've seen the difficulties that members of the Transit Pension Fund, some of the former public servants in the former homeland of Botswana have experienced with regards to their pension funds. And so we think, at least in our interpretation, this provisions are going to help address such issues in future and to kind of just extend the benefits and protections, the oversight, the regulations, etc., to these pension funds. I think for us, it's about enhancing the protection we have to pension fund members who often are exploited and abused by some of the fund administrators with very little recourse. Then, Chair, just to the last section, with regards to the proposals to amending the Auditing Professions Act, So I think we want to say the proposals, the provisions in the bill, in this regard, we do welcome and support them. We think they're correct, additional further response to some of the issues that were highlighted in the Zondo Commission, where there was significant exposure of the collusion between some auditors and the companies and the SOEs they are paid and legally obliged to audit. I think, Chair, whilst we welcome these proposed amendments to the Auditing Professions Act, as well as to appreciate those in the previous FMA Act that was passed about a year ago or so, we do remain concerned, COSATU, that there's still an unhealthy relationship between some auditors and institutions they're hired to audit. And we have witnessed these cozy relationships between some of these auditors and their clients, with some auditors being contracted by the clients for decades at times. I think we've seen the King reports highlighting this as a key cause of what we think at times is a very incestuous relationship. And auditors obviously have a financial interest to turn a blind eye, or even at times, as we've seen, unfortunately, to be even complicit in illegal activities to protect these kind of long-standing, very lucrative contracts. So the King report, Chair, has recommended, time limits to such auditing contracts. So IRBA has a rule requiring the mandatory rotation of auditing firms after 10 years. So that's a welcome first step. But, as having discussed previously with the previous act in this committee and even before the last elections, we think this firm rotation rule should actually be elevated and entrenched into law. Otherwise, you might find that down the road you may have a leadership of IRBA which may be less committed to fighting corruption or state capture, and they could just simply delete that rule, under pressure from vested interests in the industry, etc. So we also think that the rule providing for rotations to be done every 10 years itself is a bit too broad. A decade is a long time, as we've experienced, and it should actually be reduced to 5 years. So our proposal, Chair, is simply for the committee to consider inserting a new section in the bill under the Auditing Profession Amendment section, just simply to elevate into law the existing IRBA rule, providing for the mandatory rotation of auditing firms, number one, and then secondly, to stipulate that rotation should be after every 5 years, etc. So that's our presentation, Chair. I think just in conclusion, we do support the amendments to the Military Pension Act. These are progressive. They're going to help current and former Defence Force members, their partners, their families when they're in their moments of need. I think we support the extension of the legal framework to associated institutions' pension funds, and we hope and believe that this will thus provide some protection, especially on the clean break principles for those pension fund members and their dependents. And then just lastly, Chair, we support the provisions around the Auditing Professions Act, but we do think this is a moment to strengthen it further, as we just highlighted in our proposed amendment. And I think if we can do so, Chair, that'll be a positive further step forward in the fight against corruption, state capture, etc. So yeah, so that's our proposals in a nutshell, Chair, and hopefully we'll have assisted the committee somewhat. Thanks very much, Chairperson.
Thanks very much, Comrade Metu, for your submission. Alan, those are the two stakeholders which are available for submissions, isn't it?
That's correct, Chairperson.
Okay, let's move to the next item, interaction by committee members. Before I call upon committee members to engage with the presentations, can National Treasury respond to an issue raised by AGP about the lack of information, therefore they are unable to make an informed submission? Treasurer, can you please respond?
Good morning, Chairperson and other committee members and stakeholders. MP van Schoor from National Treasury. Just to indicate, the information that the commentator requested will be provided in our response to the public submission. We understand that clearly that's information that's required. Just further to indicate, the temporary pension fund, the bill doesn't propose its amalgamation with the GPF, because there's no legislative requirement for that. It's only for the associated pension fund. And then a further amendment that COSATU has referred to is to enable that the clean bike provision also apply to members of the associated pension funds. But we will, we can even in advance, prepare the required information and share it with the committee and the particular stakeholder. Thank you.
Thanks, MP. If as soon as today or tomorrow latest, can you please share the information with the AGP and the committee so that they are able to make a submission to this committee before we consider the bill. Thanks. Members, there you are. Are there members who would like to ask clarity-seeking questions or make comments? Alan, it looks like there's no member unless from your side you are able to see any member raising a hand so that we can move. If there's no question or comment, we'll have to move to the next item.
Chair, there's no hands and there's nothing on the chat either.
No, okay. Except to say that let's provide the information to AGP. Treasury, please attend to that as soon as possible. Let's move to the next item. Public hearings on the Municipal Fiscal Powers and Functions Amendment Bill, B21-2022. Alan, I see here you are saying that it looks like there's no request for submission by stakeholders.
That's correct, Chairperson. We've received, I think it's 3 submissions, but nobody requested to present. The submissions received was from Ms. Handri Foster, Dr. Kenneth Kwanda, District Municipality, and then Salga. Just to indicate that following last week's meeting, representatives of Salga are online. They're here as observers. They are presenting to the Appropriations Committee. But if any questions addressed to Salga, there are representatives online, Chair. Thank you.
So are you saying that we have received the 3 written submissions, or what's the issue about the 3 stakeholders?
Yes, Chair. Yes, we've received 3 written submissions. I sent it through, but there were no requests for presentations.
Okay. We'll consider those 3 written submissions when we get to that point of considering the bill. But for today, there's no oral submission. Okay, let's move to the next item. Is there any input from members before we close the meeting regarding submissions? It seems none. Okay. Are there, okay. Jali, over to you, Skosan.
Ngiyathokoza Sihlalo begodwa ngiyalotshisa iwonke amalunga ahloniphekileko nabo bonke abakhona emhlanganweni. I think last time we spoke about the issue of inviting Salga to have their views on this particular bill. So I don't know if we're not taking that particular route. perhaps before we even consider the written submissions that we have received. I'm just checking that because I think last time we after National Treasury presented this bill before the committee, I think we did I think agree that it is necessary for us to at least have a meeting with SALGA and hear their views regarding this particular bill. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, Sir Tokozon. Charlie, you are right, and we have written a request to SALGA that as an important stakeholder in this regard, it will be important for them to make a submission. Alan, are you saying SALGA has made a written submission, or they are just observers in this meeting?
Yes, Chair, they have made a written submission. I sent it through to members yesterday. I think the submission they made was the same that they sent through to National Treasury when the bill was still in draft format. But they are online, Chair, so they're probably better placed to answer whether that's the same submission they submitted to National Treasury.
Okay. Who's here online representing SALGA? Are they here, Alan? Who's from SALGA?
Yes, Chair, there's a Ms. Takane Lekera.
SALGA, are you there? Takane, are you there? They don't seem to be. Yeah. Even the person we're talking about seem to have withdrawn, Alan. Okay, if they are not here.
No, she is, Chair. I see her mic's unmuted, but no sound coming through. Not sure what the issue is on her end.
Okay, no problem. Let's proceed. We'll consider their written submission. But it looks like is it he or she? Like the mic was on. I can see the mic flicking there in the background, but I can't hear the sound. Takane Lekera, are you there? Alan, it looks like that mic is on, isn't it?
Yes, Chair, it is on.
But there's no sound coming through.
No sound coming through. Chair, with your permission, maybe I can just ask them to respond in writing, and then I'll send it through to yourselves.
Okay. Let's take it from there, because it looks like we've got a challenge with them online here. I see the mic is on, but I can't hear a voice behind. Okay, or let's give you 1 minute, Alan, to call Takane Lekera and see if you succeed before I close the meeting.
Okay, Chair, I'll just see if I've got the contact number.
Okay. Okay. Takane Lekera, Alan has written on the chart that there seemed to be a problem with the mic. Therefore, they have made a written submission. So we'll attend to their written submission. Yeah, Jali, can you see the message on the chart? Honorable Squasan.
Sihlalo, yeah, no, I can see it. No, I
Yeah.
can see it. So yeah, I think let's take it from there. We'll then have to look at that written submission.
Okay. Alan, are there announcements before I close the meeting?
Chair, just the announcement for next week. We are in the process of finalizing the logistical arrangements for the oversight visit next week. That's on Wednesday and Thursday. So Wednesday is National Treasury, and Thursday is all the entities in the finance portfolio with their audit findings. So we should be sending through, for those traveling, we should be sending through the details in the next 2 days or so before the end of the week. That's basically it, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, that's the announcement about our oversight visit to National Treasury next week. Thanks very much, honorable members. Thanks to the stakeholders who are here for public participation. Thanks, Treasury and entities who are in attendance. The meeting is officially closed. Let's meet next week. Thanks.
Yes, sir.